What's up, YouTube? Motivation and Travel channel coming at you. And I'm here interviewing my good friend and fellow business compadre, Mr. James. And James, why don't you
Yeah,
tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're all about, your core principles.
yeah. I'm a business coach. I spent the better part of 2 decades working for corporate America. Working for some pretty successful companies, and they just taught me a bunch of stuff. Eventually, I was able to be in a position to work for myself. So now I travel and work abroad. Currently, I'm here in Colombia, South America, and I work as a consultant, and I help small businesses install the same type of operating standards that big businesses have to gain the same type of traction and success. So that's what I do, man.
That's awesome, but we're not really going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about something more personal, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
going to talk about women, relationship dynamics between men and women.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so recently I shared with you something that was near and dear to my heart, a book by Rollo Tomassi called The Rational Male. And in that book, which you haven't had a chance to read it yet,
No,
but
not the.
you did get a summary of the 9 rules of Rollo Tomassi, and you had interesting points of view on that. And you seem to be, of arrogance, where the man is viewed as better than the woman. And so go ahead and share your opinion, and I'll chime in because we have a difference of opinion, my friend, and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Um, so one of the things I talk a lot about is communication and how tone and inflection matters, and how you sometimes it's not what you say but how you say it. And I think this is a really good example. So these 9 rules that you showed me, to be honest, I think there's a lot of truth in a lot of them, but I think the perspective that you come at it with matters. And I think that the word that comes to mind, and you and I have kind of batted around, is the word chauvinist, right? I think you can believe in some of these things without having a chauvinist perspective of it. But I think the reality is that men and women are different, and men tend to have some tendencies, and women tend to have some tendencies as well. And it's a good thing to understand those tendencies. And if you want to have a healthy relationship with a woman and you're a man, I think it's a really good idea to understand women's tendencies. But I think you can understand their tendencies without feeling like there's not equity. So I think that's the way I look at it, man.
Okay, so just maybe not everybody's familiar with the rules of Rollo Tomassi and the playbook. And I'll just go ahead for the audience that's not familiar with it. I'm just going to go through the 9 rules, and then I'm going to give my opinion. The rule number 1: frame is everything. Always be aware of the subconscious balance of whose frame in which you're operating in. Rule number 2: never, under pain of death or honestly, dishonestly, reveal the number of women you slept with, or explain the detail of your sexual experiences. Rule number 3, and I'm not to go through this fast because there's 9 of them. Any woman who makes you wait for sex by her actions implies she is making you wait for sex. The sex is never worth her weight. I would add, get rid of her. But rule number 4: never, under any circumstance, live with a woman you aren't married to or not planning to marry within 6 months. Never live with a woman you're not married or planning to marry within 6 months. Rule number 5: never allow a woman to be in the control of the birth. Rule number 6: women are incapable of loving a man the way a man expects to be loved. I'm not going to read every single paragraph, but I'm going to read the quick ones. Now, rule number 7: it is always time and effort better spent developing new, fresh, prospective women than it will ever be in attempting to reconstruct a failed relationship. Rule number 8: always let a woman figure out why she won't. Never do it for her. I think that's a mistypo. I think it's rule number 8 is never, always let a woman figure out why she wants to fuck you, not won't. So I think that's a
No,
mistype.
it won't. It won't.
Won't. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll read this. I'll read the next part of rule number 8. An integral part of maintaining the feminine imperative as a social imperative involves keeping women as the primary sexual selectors. As I've detailed in many prior comments and posts, that means that a woman's sexual strategy necessitates that she being as optimized a condition as her capacity, attractiveness allows her for to choose the best males available to satisfy that strategy. Rule number 9, never self-deprecate under any circumstance. So with that being said, I feel that we do have a difference of opinion because I feel that, women will not consciously, but subconsciously always want someone to rule over them, to lead them, because they can relax, they can feel safe, they can submit to your leadership. So that's something that, but in order to have that, you have to have an arrogance about you. You have to have a kind of, charm and a kind of swag in order to have that kind of confidence to be able to do that. You can't just come up and walk to a stranger and risk rejection without having some kind of confidence pre-imposed, ready to take it on the chin. So, and we talked about this earlier today.
That's right.
So, we have our differences. Would you like to start with rule number 1?
Let's do it.
Okay. Rule number 1, frame is everything. Always be aware of the subconscious balance of whose frame in which you are operating. Always control the frame, but resist giving the impression that you are. So what does that mean to you?
I think what I hear is, you want to be playing on your rules, not playing on her rules. And again, some of this is it's about how you frame it, right? Like the part of that rule that says never let it make it seem like that's what you're trying to do. That's a little bit manipulative, right? And I think that here's how I could say that same rule without sounding manipulative, without sounding chauvinistic. Have a damn plan, right? Have a plan for your life. Women like that, right? Women like when you have a plan for your life and you have a direction that you're going on, and that you could sense that. So I just think it's about the perspective. I think you can agree with some of the base principles here without looking at it with a negative content or chauvinistic way. That's the way I see it.
Right. So you're saying just you could take the meat and spit out the bones.
Yeah, I think that if you don't have a plan in your life, that's unattractive.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about apples and oranges here because we're talking about frame. And frame is basically, when a woman tries to make you feel insecure, or a woman tries to do things that we call in the red pill community. If you read The Rational Male, it talks about the red pill and the blue pill based on the movie The Matrix, when Neo's given the choice to choose the red pill or the blue pill. I.e., not living in the United States and being able to travel the world and live free, live financially free. You're on a whole another level from different people. So you've been red pilled from that perspective of not being in the rat race anymore.
Right.
So that being said, you have maintaining frame is if a woman says, "Oh, you have a small dick," and she comes up to you and says something like that. A guy who doesn't have frame control will try to, "Oh, no, I don't." He'll try to defend it, and try to prove otherwise what she says. Now, that's just an example, but a guy who has frame would be like, "Okay, well, let me show you. Let me show you that it's not, like, let me take you around in the back, and I'll show you what it looks like." He may say something off the wall, some arrogant comment like that, which a woman may not like, but he has the frame and the self-confidence that she's not going to influence him, but that he's going to influence her. So that's the thing when he meant when he talks about maintain your frame.
I get it. I totally get it. And I remember that example.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you my example that I think is more realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's talking about the size of your penis, like
Right.
how relevant is that to your relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's something that does come up, right? A woman may say something like, "When are you going to get a job?" Right? Or like, something that sounds like, "Dude, you're a loser," right? And then you fall into that trap. But if you have a plan in your life in the first place, those conversations don't happen very much in the first place. And so I think that's how that thing happens in a more relevant way, and comes up in a more relevant way. And if you don't have a plan, and then somebody says something to you critical, then all of a sudden you feel insecure about what they said, because there's probably some truth in what they said.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's like, and if there's truth in what they said, and then you let it affect you, then you can go ahead and lose frame control. So I mean, essentially, we're saying two different things, but women don't want a weak man. So a weak man is going to go ahead and capitulate and be like, oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm going to go ahead and he's gonna lose. He's weak. She's never going to respect him like that. She's never going to respect a weak man. An alpha man will go ahead and check a woman right away, won't put up with that nonsense. So let's go on to rule number 2 is never under pain of death, dishonestly reveal the number of women you slept with or explain the detail of your sexual experience with them to your current lover.
I got no qualms with that rule. That's you talk about that, you're just stupid.
I got no issue with that either. I agree. What you did, what you did in the past, and what she did in the past is irrelevant at this point.
Right.
I believe one of the principles in my life is no woman belongs to you. It's just your turn. She can leave at, yeah. Oh yeah. She can leave at any point. She can leave at any point, and I can leave at any point. But hopefully she's adding value in my life like I'm adding value in her life. It needs to be a synergistic relationship where
Sure.
we're both learning from each other and we're both getting what we can out of each other, and that doesn't just I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about intellectual stimulation. I had a girlfriend one time. She was a doctor. She was she was a pharmacist. Okay. 2 doctors I've dated. And just no intellectual. She would just like to be on the phone, and she was from Jamaica, and she would like to be on the phone and just talk about nothing. And I was like, wow, this is just, I can't do this. I can't do this. No intellectual stimulation. There's got to be something that you're getting out of the relationship. Rule number 3, any woman who makes you wait for sex by her actions implies she is making you wait for sex is never worth her wait. What do you think about that? She is never worth her wait when she makes you wait for sex. I know you had a story about that.
So, oh God, there's so much nuance to this one. I think here's how I'd say this. I think it depends on the stage of the relationship. Is this an early relationship, or you've been in a relationship a long time? I will acknowledge that sexual compatibility is an important thing. And I would also acknowledge that it's not good when a woman tries to control you with with sex. I think I leave it at that. I think the problem is when you get on in your relationship and you've been together for a long time, there could be some nuance to why that's happening and some other stuff you got to look at and work through. But let's assume you're early in the relationship. I don't think I have that much problem with that. I think you need sexual compatibility. Period.
Well, I would say it's if a woman makes you wait for sex, you have to be smart enough and experienced enough to read her body language. And if her body language to where she's making you wait for sex, not because she's not attracted to you, but because she's trying to manipulate you, you have to be able to determine that. And a good way to tell is like an example. If, you tell a girl and say, look, um, before we do anything, I don't want any hair on your body except it's on your head. And she's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I like, I like having hairy legs, you know? So that's a woman. That's an example of a woman who's A, going to make you wait for sex, two, doesn't have genuine burning desire, and three, you should be out the door. You should, or kick her right out the door.
So here's the
So,
part of that. Here's the
so
part of
that's
that you say that I totally agree with, the genuine burning desire part, right? Like, if the reason she's not having sex with you is because she doesn't want to have sex with you,
mhm.
we'll find somebody who wants to have sex with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and that could be encompass a girl who's waiting, she's withholding sex, but she likes going out to the free dinner. She likes going out on the yacht. She likes going out with you in the Ferrari. She likes driving in the Ferrari. She loves all that social proof so she can put it on her Instagram, right? But then when it's time for you to get some sex, she wants to withhold it. So that's something that men of value, men of upper level value need to be aware of. Okay, rule number 5: never allow a woman to be in control of the birth.
um, I, I got no issues with this either, man. I think, but again, I could say it a different way. I think that having and wanting a kid should be mutual, period. I while I know that there's some examples out there of women who have done things, I don't think that by any stretch is most women, but I think it's a good idea that having a kid should be a mutual thing, period.
Well, the reason why he said this is because in the early 2000s, and this is still happening today. Women were grabbing the condoms out of the trash heap. They were having sex with NFL players and basketball players and NBA players, pulling the condom out of the garbage and inserting in them so they could be millionaires.
Sure.
And that's a very real thing.
Or look,
So,
I'll take it even a step further.
mhm.
You might be surprised by me saying this, but look, even suggesting that you have sex without a condom, like it's okay to no, we don't need a condom. Um, Unless you're planning to have a kid, you better strap it up, buddy.
Yeah, it's something. The little head outweighs the big head often, many times. I'll tell you, I'm guilty of it myself. My girlfriend that I have right now, we don't use protection, and to my own shame, because she's telling me that she's on birth control. She literally showed me the thing, her on her arm.
Yeah,
But
no.
that has changed as of today. And again, ladies and gentlemen, my channel is about motivation and travel. So this is in order to motivate yourself, um, you have to be a better version of yourself.
Correct.
This is why
Well, I
this is
had a
why we're
vasectomy 15 years ago, so I ain't got that issue.
okay. All right, but this is why we're talking about this kind of stuff, because we want to be better as men. We want to be men of value, so we can have women of value. So we both agree on this, so that's fine. Let's go on to rule number 6. Women are utterly incapable of loving a man in a way the man expects to be loved. In its simplicity, this speaks volumes about the condition of men. It accurately expresses a pervasive nihilism that men must either confront or accept, or be driven insane in denial for the rest of their lives when they fail to come to terms with the disillusionment. Women are incapable of loving men in a way that a man idealizes is possible, in a way that he thinks she should be capable of. So, and I'll just paraphrase that. Basically, she's not going to love me the way that unconditional love that they talk about in Walt Disney movies. Well, they used to talk about that in Disney movies. They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, so some of these rules, man, I think is the theme. The theme I feel like is similar throughout, which is a couple of things. Something that you said, right? Women don't like weak men. I think that's true. I think women like men who project strength. Confidence is another way to say that. Women like confident men. Here's how I interpret this rule, man. You need to be the best version of yourself, right? If you want a high value woman, you need to be the best version of yourself. And if you're not the best version of yourself, man, she can smell that. She can smell that. And guess what? It's not attractive. That's not her fault. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with women. It means you need to get off your ass and do some stuff, right? Nobody wants a lazy dude, right? Like, so this idea that I want her to love me for me. That's great if you're lovable, right? If you've got a bunch of good qualities to love. And if you don't, work on that. And I promise when you work on that, you'll get better women.
So let's talk about that. Let's park here for a little bit. Like my mom, right? I know she's gonna love me whether or not I am the way I am now, or that I'm 300 pounds. If I'm 300 pounds, my mom's still gonna love me. She may say, "Oh well, you should lose weight," but my mom's still gonna love me. Now, my girlfriend is gonna leave me, okay? Because number one, I'm not the best version of myself. I'm deteriorating, and she could get somebody better. So that's what we men, we talk about. Well, you know, I'd love to have a woman that would love me unconditionally, but you know, because of the resources that I bring, because of my attitude, because of my behavior, because of my swag, you know, she's into me. She's totally into me like that.
Sure.
So I don't need to. I know there's genuine burning desire there because we don't have an issue with this in the sex department. You know, there's no issue there. But I've dated some women to where there is an issue there, you know, and then, you know, that's a whole nother topic of conversation. But when you have a woman in your life and she's a woman that has blows you away, she's got all these wonderful things you've always wanted. You can't expect her to love you unconditionally, and you can't get focused in that. You got to maintain that frame to where she can lead at any moment, because women don't like desperation. Money doesn't like desperation. So you've got to keep on working on being the best version of yourself, so you don't get that doesn't become your God. You know, when that woman becomes your God, and she is so powerful in your life psychologically in here, that's the beginning of the end. And a woman is never going to love you unconditionally, you know. So that's essentially what he's trying to say. Women will always go ahead and spend their time. We have this perception we have the perception what this is what's going to be, but it's not always that way.
So I think you and I agree here. I just think what's interesting is the way he wrote it, that women are incapable of something. I think you don't have to write it that way. Like, you don't have to say women are incapable. It has nothing to do with women being incapable. It's about men should be, and hell, people should be the best versions of themselves. And if you're not, you can't expect somebody to want you when you ain't doing what you need to do for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what he's trying to say is they're not going to love unconditionally, like a woman. Oh, I'm gonna, you know, there's a song that I Snoop Dogg. Huh?
Do we love unconditionally?
I don't.
All right. So then, should it say people are incapable? Why does it say women are incapable?
Mm-hmm. Well, because men typically our men, we keep our word. We have a sense of value. We have a sense of honor. I'm not saying he's not saying that all women are like that, but it's a good 99% of them do not have a sense of honor. We'll cut you in a minute if they can get somebody better. And if you read the book, and I know you didn't read the book, I know you're just seeing these things, but if you read the book and really understand, there's a thing he talks about branch swinging, and how women just in ancient of times, you know, when it was a survival mechanism, and it's ingrained in our humanity. Well, what happened is another warring tribe would come in and kill all the men. It happened even in biblical times. And then they would go ahead and take all the women for themselves. So what did the woman have to do? She had to survive. So she had to change. she had to shift. She had to go ahead and love the other guy. You see? So, and nowadays this doesn't happen anymore, but she may go ahead and be with somebody and then decide to leave them for somebody else because she got something better. Or she may be really fat, right? You may be dating a fat girl, and then she starts working, but she's got a pretty face. But she starts working out, and she goes to the gym, and she starts pumping iron, and she gets a hot, nice body. Then all of a sudden she meets Don Juan, and she
Right.
runs away or has sex with
Now
Don
she got
Juan.
better options. Yep.
So she's always looking for that better option, as opposed to men, where typically they would be a little bit more loyal and not do something like that and stay with their wives. There's many men that I've met, that have stayed with their wives, love their wives, would never even think about cheating on their wives, and they have that mentality. They have that sense of honor, that sense of commitment. So I think that's what he was talking about.
I will agree with this. A lot. I feel like in society, there's this myth that men are dogs and men cheat. And
Mhm.
I think that women cheat at least as much as men do.
I would say I would even take it further and say they cheat even more, because they have the ability to do it. When they study statistically, they talk about the women get like 10 times more hits and likes than men do. So their options are limitless. So when you have more options, you exercise those options. Like I said before in the beginning of this, a woman never belongs to you. It's just your turn. Number 8, or did we do number 7? Was that the right number? Okay, number 7 is what we're on. It is always time and effort better spent developing new, fresh perspective relationships than it will ever be in attempting to reconstruct a failed relationship. Never root through the trash once the garbage has been dragged to the curb. You get messy, your neighbors see you, and what you thought was worth digging for is never as valuable as you thought what it was. Whew, ain't that the damn truth?
Oh man. So this one's has got some nuance. So I think don't be needy, which is the same thing we've been saying, right? Women don't like weak guys. It's like if you're begging to get back with your girlfriend and you guys have already broken up, you're wasting your time, right? You're wasting your time, and the more you beg, the more unattractive you look. Like you were already unattractive when she broke up with you, and now that you're begging, you're becoming even more unattractive. Stop it. Having said that, I also think, when he says time better spent, I think sometimes men don't do the introspection that they need. They don't look at themselves the way they need. Maybe there's some reasons the relationship failed that you need to look at, and not to fix the old relationship, but maybe to better the relationships in the past, the relationships that you have in the future. Maybe you need to look inside. So I think that's how I think about that one.
I agree. I think that what I did was, but see, of course, what I wanted to say earlier was we are speaking from a point of no emotional attachment. And that's very easy to do when you're not emotionally attached. But when you're emotionally attached, you ever heard the expression "fools for love," right? So fools for love, and that's what happens when you get emotionally attached. You don't make rational decisions. So that's the thing that's very difficult to do. But you have to, as a man of value, and if you want to be a man of value, you've got to pay a price. And that price is you must learn and you must move forward. I have had situations where I've dated women and they've made mistakes. And I said, listen, I'm breaking up with you because of A, B, and C. And the reason why I'm breaking up, and I told them the reason why I was breaking up with them. And I said, oh, and by the way, in your next relation, and I almost like I would teach them, in your next relationship, you shouldn't do A, B, and C because nobody's going to put up with it. And I would almost scold them. And I'm glad you did that, because in my next relationship, I won't tolerate that. And I should. So that's something that I have learned and implemented in my life to be like, okay, in my next relationship, the person that I meet, because you can meet somebody new tomorrow, you never know. Um, I've learned to say, okay, what did I learn? What was my takeaway from that horrible experience? Because at the very least, learning is sometimes painful. So you've got to understand it and learn from it. So and embrace it and feel your pain, feel that rejection that she doesn't no longer you're no longer going to be together, and learn and have visualize on the next one you want to have. Visualize on the next future so you don't repeat those same mistakes. Or recognize those warning signs early on. You know, you start dating enough women, you start gaining more experience, you start being around, you start to read body language, and you start being able to understand these things a little bit better. What are your thoughts?
Look, I agree with you. I think it's funny. Some of these things we disagree, but right. I think a lot of these things you and I really do agree. I think I agree with that. What I don't agree with is just the way it's written and the way it's framed. Right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's kind of written in a way that's negative towards women, and I don't think it's necessary. I think the overall point, the underlying point, yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, you don't like the way it's being said. That's your issue with it.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
my issue is that it needs to be said that way, right? Like we were talking about earlier about things like, I don't like acting like a jerk with my girlfriend, but I've got to check her. I must check this one. I don't have a choice. She gives me no choice. I literally don't want to have to act like it, but women like that emotional tension. And you know what? She's coming on time tomorrow. She's gonna get. She comes and she cleans my place. I don't ask her to do this. She does these things on her own. Okay, and we don't have any issue with sex. Any position, anything I want with sex, she does it gladly, happily. So that's something that I have learned, that you have to be a little bit rough in order to understand that you will not show weakness, and they respect that. And a woman, have you ever had a situation where a woman really didn't like you but she respected you, and you guys had sex anyway? Have you ever had that?
No,
There's situations
not that I can
where
remember.
a woman may not like you, but she does respect you. Maybe she doesn't, maybe she does or doesn't have sex with you, but there's situations where a woman does not like you, but yet she respects you.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
Any thoughts before we go on to the next one?
nope.
Okay. All right. Rule number 8. Although, although always let a woman figure out why she won't fuck you. Never do it for her. An integral part of maintaining the feminine imperative is the societal imperative involves keeping women as the primary sexual selectors. As I've detailed in many prior comments and posts, that means that a woman's sexual strategy necessitates that she be in as an optimized a condition as her capacity, attractiveness allows her, for her to choose from the best males available to satisfy that strategy. So in other words, she's the one that's making the choices. I like I said, I think I'm almost positive that's wrong, that she never let her figure out why she wants to bug you, because she's doing it because she selected you. She's the selector, and she's using the best. She's picking the best males, like I was talking about earlier. Since the last hundreds of years, only 39% of males have actually reproduced their heritage. So that's the thing. Many men die. They don't have an heir. They die alone. Why? Because they weren't sexually chosen.
So I'm trying to remember the example he used. Do you remember the example?
Um, about this one? No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I might be getting one of these rules confused. I thought the example he used was the man had said something that didn't sound confident, and now she doesn't want to fuck you because you're like,
No, that's a different
oh, I
rule.
think he said something like she's out of my league. Is that the one where he said she's out of my league? I
No,
thought this.
no, that
I
that
thought,
that was
I
that was
thought the league.
that was a different rule. That was a different rule.
Okay.
I think this one was talking about is never, like, she basically, what this rule is talking about. Well, she's attracted to me, but she can't figure out why she's attracted to me. She can't figure it out because it's not a specific thing that you do. It's who you are. Like you were talking about earlier. You're talking about, if you're a man of high value and you're a man of confidence, you don't need her validation to prove that. You don't need
Right.
a pat on the back from her, because you just are. Like we were talking about different characters of animals, of what people are. Some people are snakes, some people are lions, some people are elephants, some people are dragons. It's just their character of who they are. They're congruent of who they are. And that's what makes it attractive, that
I
confidence.
got no issues with that. I got no issues at all.
Okay. Okay. The last one is rule number 9. And we're doing good on time. We've got about 10 minutes left. Never self-deprecate under any circumstances. This is the kiss of death that you self-initiate, and is the antithesis of prize mentality. Once you've accepted yourself and presented yourself as a complete douche, there's no going back to confidence with a woman. Never appeal to a woman's sympathies. Her sympathies are given by her own volition, never when they are begged for. Women despise the obligation of sympathy. Nothing kills arousal like pity. Even if you don't seriously consider yourself pathetic, it never serves your best interest to paint yourself as pathetic. Self-depreciation is a misguided tool for the average frustrated chump, and not something that would even occur to an alpha.
So this is the one with the example of oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, she's out of my league, or
Yeah.
self-deprecation would be like those, if I go talk to one of these beautiful women and I go, oh, I know you're out of my league, but I'd love to take
This
you
is
out.
the out of my league one. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
look. So again, forgetting about how it's written, the spirit of it, I think it's spot on. I think you got it, and again, it's the theme, right? I think it's the theme of a lot of these things. You got to have confidence, and if you don't have confidence, like if you don't have confidence in yourself, why would a woman want you? Why would you especially when it comes to sex? Like, why would a woman want to have sex with somebody who's not even confident in themselves? You imagine what they're thinking about how the sex is going to be. Like, if you're not even confident. Are you kidding? That's not.
I think also the self-deprecation doesn't come actually from what you say, but maybe the energy you carry, maybe the way you carry yourself is this in a self-deprecating way. Maybe you slouch your shoulders when you walk. Maybe you don't walk upright. Maybe you don't lift your head when you walk upright. Maybe you're not proud of who you are. Maybe you smile like this. You don't show your teeth. Maybe, those are self-deprecating things. Those are all signs that see, a woman's intuition is 10 times that of a man. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, it's tough to a woman catching a lie quick, and the thing is, when you're self-deprecating spirit, or that energy of self-deprecating where you don't have that confidence with yourself, what do you think some tools that you have used in the past and you've seen other people do that have built self-confidence? Because we're trying to everybody's watching this. This isn't to bash women. We're trying to talk about this, something to help men, and something that hopefully someone get better out of watching this, who maybe in struggling in need of this right now. What are some of the tools that you use?
No, it's a great question. That's a really good question. There's two things I would say. Number one is fix your damn insecurities, right?
How?
Everybody's got them. You gotta face them. You gotta deal with them, right? So, look, sometimes that requires even like as much as like going to therapy and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, if if you have insecurities, if you have things about yourself that bother you so much that it affects your outwardly presence and how you approach things, and it develops, you develop fear about certain things and dealing with certain things. And if you know that, you know when you have an insecurity that's kind of a big deal. Everybody knows that, right? It's a normal thing, but deal with them, because what you don't understand is they manifest themselves in your relationships, including your relationships with women. So that's the first thing that I would say: figure out how to deal with your insecurities. The second thing I would say is it's kind of back to what I said before. Make sure that you have a plan in your life, right? When it comes to finances, when it comes to work, when it comes to what you want to do. Yeah, I'll give you a really simple example, man, of some things that I have seen. You're out trying to figure out where to go, and you're indecisive and can't figure out where to go. It should take that. Man, you can't even choose where we're gonna go. You can't even choose where we're gonna eat dinner at. Like, like you ain't confident enough to say we're going to Ruth's Steakhouse. Like have a plan. Have a plan. Women like when you have a plan. Yeah, you're gonna take them on a date. Have a damn plan for your date. Women like that. And when you have a plan, it comes off as confidence because you know what the next step is. So even if you don't have any confidence, because you know what the next step is, it feels like confidence.
Right, and I think people, I think a woman likes to submit to a leader. They like to know that, yeah, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. I'll take care of this. I think once you do that, they feel comfortable. They're relaxed. They don't need to worry about, oh, this guy's car is going to break down, or he's not going to be able to pay for the dinner. There's strength in confidence and being able to be on what you need to do as a man of high value. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up here. We'd like to thank you for your time. Hopefully we can do this maybe once or twice a month. We have these little debates and bring some more people on. If you're watching, feel free to leave a comment and subscribe. Always give that thumbs up on it. I appreciate that because it helps out with the algorithm. I hope definitely this has helped somebody that's watching this now. And James, how can people get a hold of you? If somebody's watching, what do you have a website and
I
what?
do. It's letjameshelp.com. Letjameshelp.com. All my information's there, and you can reach out to me.
And that's James with a spell with a J, JAMES.com. And you do consults and you help businesses and you're doing wonderful things.
Letjameshelp.com.
I'll let you have the floor for any final words for the last 30 seconds and summarize anything you want to say.
I think for me, at least, the theme is, and it's so perfect for traveling, right? When you're traveling, you're going to meet different women if you're single and that sort of stuff, and then have some confidence, in who you are, and that'll help your relationship with women.
And how do you get that confidence? What would you say to someone watching right now who's struggling with self-confidence, as a low self? What would you tell that person?
So it's interesting. I guess what I would start with is, if I try to think back to a time where I didn't have confidence, is I found one thing that one reason I didn't have confidence. Let's talk about my physical condition, for example. I wasn't in the best condition, so I started going to the gym, right, and changed my physical condition. And now I have something to be confident about. I got one thing that I can be confident about. And then after I was confident about it, I added another thing. And then became confident and got better at that and became confident about that. And then after I became better at that, I added another thing. I think if you constantly have that mindset that you're going to work on things and be a better person and be better today than you were yesterday and be better tomorrow than the day, than today, that'll naturally grow your confidence.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm going to wrap it up with this and saying that coming from me, what's helped me in my life also as well is having those small little goals. If you're watching this and you're struggling with self-confidence, you have those small little goals, just like James says. As you keep those personal little goals to yourself, subconsciously, you're like, yeah, I deserve this. I deserve this ice cream because I ran 15 miles this week. that validates who you are. So I appreciate you coming on my podcast. I'll go ahead and upload it, and best of luck to you, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. Good time. Can't wait till next time.